Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green going north, and DeMar DeRozan, Jacob Poeltl, and a protected 2019 first-round pick going back to San Antonio.
I'm going to say it one last time about Kawhi Leonard. He quit on my San Antonio Spurs.
I mean, just no heart. No heart. What are you scared about? What are you scared about? Kawhi Leonard doesn't want to be in San Antonio anymore.
I'm so over this dude. The city of San Antonio is over this dude. You can go as soon as they get whatever they want for you, but if you think you're just going to walk out of there and get your way because you've thrown this little spoiled hissy fit and become one of the most unlikable characters, I've never seen a heel turn like this in a way that is not enjoyable. Like, you are no longer a person I root for. You are someone who has just shown every quality of a spoiled, entitled person, and you don't even have the strength to speak for yourself.
From being the franchise superstar of the San Antonio Spurs to requesting a trade, let's look back at the time when coaches and media took their shots at Kawhi Leonard and he responded. In the 2017 NBA playoffs, the Spurs had a great postseason run, making it back to the Western Conference Finals and 4 wins away from getting back to the NBA Finals. But unfortunate injuries to their key contributors in Tony Parker, who ruptured his left quadricep tendon against the Houston Rockets on a floater, and Kawhi Leonard would tweak his ankle against the Houston Rockets in Game 5 in the second round, and twice against the Golden State Warriors in Game 1, would make both Parker and Leonard miss the rest of the 2017 postseason, and the Spurs would end up getting swept by the Warriors. But the 2017-18 season would have a lot of controversy regarding Kawhi and his injury that forced him to miss 73 games that year and only play 9. So let's look back at the timeline of when everything took place. In August of 2017, Kawhi Leonard was rehabbing with the Spurs team doctor in the summer to rehab an ankle injury that he suffered against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. But the Spurs would later let Kawhi take over his rehab process, but would also address a quad injury that Kawhi and his camp believed started with a deep bruise that happened in March of 2016. But the Spurs doctors believed that Kawhi had tendinopathy in his right quad, so on September 30th, 2017, the Spurs would announce that Kawhi Leonard would miss the preseason with no timetable on his return. And with no timetable on Kawhi's return, he would miss the first 14 regular season games, which would grab the attention of a lot of media to see how long Kawhi would be out. On November 17, 2017, after the Spurs had played the OKC Thunder, Popovich would update the media about Kawhi, saying that he should be back sooner than later. Well, it wouldn't be until December 12, 2017, when Kawhi would make his return to the lineup again against the Dallas Mavericks, where he would be on a minute restriction, only playing 16 minutes, but he would score 13 points and get 6 rebounds. His minutes would slowly start to increase after each game he was active to play, where he would score a season high of 25 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals against the New York Knicks. With everything looking good and Kawhi looking like he was beginning to get his groove back, Coach Pop would announce some unfortunate news that Kawhi would miss more time due to a partial tear in his left shoulder, which happened against the Suns, but fortunate enough, he would only miss 3 games before returning to the court again, where the Spurs would beat the Nuggets by 32 points. But after that game, on January 17, 2018, the Spurs would announce that Kawhi Leonard would be out indefinitely so he can continue to rehab, with Kawhi meeting with different specialists and spending time away from the team to rehab in New York as well. But ESPN Spurs reporter Michael Seawright would let people in on what happened when the Spurs brass went to go see Kawhi. Take a listen.
Dude, like, some of the things that were happening was crazy. Like, and I probably shouldn't say this right now, but I'm going to say it because Kawhi is about to be out of there, I think. But, I mean, there was a point during his rehab process in New York that some of the Spurs brass went out to see him in New York. As soon as those guys arrived to the building, Kawhi's people grabbed him and sequestered him to another part of the building. So the Spurs people couldn't even see him.
Oh, man.
Now, come on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, these are the types of things that are going on that people don't necessarily know about.
In February 2018, the Spurs doctors would clear him to play, with them not finding anything wrong with Kawhi's quad injury, which they believe was a quad tendinopathy injury. But Kawhi's camp thought Kawhi had a quadricep contusion and did not think Kawhi was ready to return yet. Now, this would cause a lot of frustration with his teammates and coaches and would grab the attention of the media. And critics would begin to question the legitimacy of the injury and if Kawhi was intentionally sitting out for money.
Problem for his teammates. Max, do you think money is the motivation for Kawhi continuing to sit out?
Of course.
In an interview, Spurs guard Tony Parker would talk about his ruptured quad injury he suffered in the postseason a season ago, saying, quote, "The same kind of injury as Kawhi's, but mine was 100 times worse." And Parker would return before Kawhi. Coach Pop would also say in an interview that he would be surprised if Kawhi returned that season. Now, with Kawhi receiving different opinions on his injury, the only person who would truly know if he's 100% ready to go is obviously Kawhi. And it would later be reported that the Spurs would have a players-only meeting with Kawhi on if he would return before the playoffs, which was still an uncertainty for Kawhi. But unfortunately, it would be reported that Kawhi would miss the entire 2018 postseason as the Spurs would capture the 7th seed in the West, but would face off against the Golden State Warriors again, where they would lose the series 4-1. With the entire situation that took place that year with Kawhi and the organization, it would lead to a lot of distrust with Kawhi and the Spurs organization and his relationship with them. So in June of 2018, Kawhi Leonard would request a trade from the Spurs, with his preferred destination being the Lakers, with some of the media saying that he was selfish, a quote-unquote diva, and that he quit on his team. Now with the Lakers, Clippers, Celtics, and Sixers all interested in trading for Kawhi, him and Danny Green would end up getting traded to the Toronto Raptors for DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a first-round draft pick, which would surprise a lot of people with all the talks being about Kawhi going to LA. With Kawhi now on a new team and playing in a new conference, there was anticipation to see what the Raptors would be able to do with this new group. With LeBron leaving the Eastern Conference, it would open the doors for a lot of teams to get over the hump and get to the finals. But there were also people who took shots at Kawhi Leonard about his leadership, two being sports reporter Michelle Beadle insinuating that due to Kawhi's behavior during the whole situation that took place, he has no qualities of a leader. Take a listen.
What part of Kawhi Leonard's behavior in the last year and every story that's come out in the last several weeks says anything about this dude having any of the qualities that a leader is supposed to have? You don't talk, you don't defend yourself. Now you got stories coming out that you're coming off as an obnoxious diva.
And Kawhi's former head coach, Coach Pop, would have something to say about Kawhi's leadership in November of 2018, saying, quote, "Kawhi was a great player, but he wasn't a leader or anything. Manu Ginobili and Patty Mills were the leaders. Kawhi's talent will always be missed, but that leadership wasn't his deal at the time. That may come as he progresses."
Kawhi was a great player, but he wasn't a leader or anything.
Kawhi would later respond to his comments saying this.
You know, it's just funny to me because, you know, I don't know if he's talking about last year or not, but I guess when you start playing, maybe I forget how you lead. But other than that, I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm here with the Raptors. I'm focused on the season and not what's going on the other side.
Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
What kind of a leader would you say you are?
Lead by example, coming into practice every day, blessing, just going hard and coming into these games mentally focused. And, you know, you can't see things once you're playing on the floor. Guys ask me questions about their matchup, or if I see someone on the floor, I'm telling guys, go here, go there, or just motivating people, you know what I mean? And, just try to lift people's spirits on the floor. That's about it.
Well, he would definitely lead by example because he would help lead the Raptors to a 58-24 regular season, having the second best record in the NBA, and Kawhi would have his second best scoring season that year and his career best in rebounds a game, averaging 26.6 points per game and 7.3 rebounds a game. But the 2019 postseason is where Kawhi Leonard would go absolute Terminator mode in the playoffs, averaging 27.8 points per game and 6.6 rebounds versus the Magic to win that series 4-1. 34.7 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists, with Kawhi scoring 30 points in 5 of the 7 games that series, and 2 40-point games, including one of the most thrilling Game 7 finishes of the playoffs, hitting the most dramatic 4-bounce game winner to defeat the 76ers. finishing that game with 41 points and 8 rebounds, making little boys cry. As well as grown men.
Let's go to Rise.
And would defeat the Milwaukee Bucks, who were the only team to win 60 games that year, and were the favorites to win that series, with them being up 2-0. Kawhi and the Raptors would win 4 games in a row, with a great contribution from the Raptors core and the bench, including an incredible poster on Giannis in the closeout game that would get Drake turned up. And to finish things off and solidify the Raptors' spectacular season, he would help lead the Raptors past the 2-time defending NBA champions, averaging 28, 9, and 4 with a great contribution from Lowry, Danny Green, Siakam, Van Vliet, Ibaka, and Marc Gasol, with 3 of the 4 games won being on the road, and the Raptors would win their first NBA championship in franchise history. NBA commentators Mike Breen and Mark Jackson would have a very well said statement about Kawhi Leonard in Game 6 in the final seconds before they were about to win a championship, saying this.
The Toronto Raptors, a terrific team all season long, the second best record in the NBA, a new coach, a new star, a number of new players. All season long, you knew they were a good team, but in the East, it was teams like Boston and Milwaukee and Philadelphia that were the more popular picks to get to the finals. But Toronto just kept getting better and better all season long, led by the brilliance of Kawhi Leonard. And here they are, about to be crowned NBA champions.
And Mike, how about Kawhi Leonard? Folks took their shots at him. Folks questioned him. They questioned his competitive spirit, how healthy he was. He didn't have to defend himself with words. He decided to do it with his actions and his play on the court. And he has turned this franchise into a champion.
After all the scrutiny Kawhi received the season prior, he was able to prove a lot of people wrong that year and made history on the Raptors, help leading them to their first ever championship, which was one of the best ways to showmanship, having your game do the talk, to shut up all the critics and get the last laugh.
Aha, 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 aha.
Yeah!